Welcome to Fiction and Focus, a podcast where we explore the craft of writing without taking ourselves too seriously. I'm Nathan Harms.
And I'm Wesley Watts. Each episode, we'll discuss uplifting topics like the soul-crushing pressure of expectations, the suffocating grip of self-doubt, and the swift kick in the unmentionables of rejection.
We'll share our experiences, struggles, and heartaches in the hope that you might find some small measure of comfort in our collective misery, or at least have a laugh at our expense.
So grab a pen, paper, and your favorite writing snack, and join us as we put fiction in focus.
Welcome, word nerds, to Fiction in Focus. I am Nathan Harms, and
I am Wesley Watts.
Hey, Wesley. Welcome to the show. It's like we never left, man. Nothing has changed at all.
And now you can see me.
Yeah, that's what it is. Holy shit. I didn't know we were doing video on this podcast. This whole time I thought it was just, talking to a blank screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got glasses, people. Hello. Hi. That's it. There's nothing else to go with that. There's not like a story or something. I'm almost 40 years old and went to the eye doctor. And all these years I was like, well, I have 20/20 vision. I don't need to go. And it turns out I'm fucking blind. So who would have thought?
It just took you longer to get there than some of us.
And you know what's even cooler is I'm special. I guess it's like 1 out of 1,000 people. One eye is nearsighted and one eye is farsighted. Yeah.
That's fun.
I don't know, but shit is clear now, so I can see clearly now that never mind.
Don't.
All right. Hey, so before we get going on today's show, I want to do a quick check-in. For those of you who watch our YouTube religiously, possibly 4 of you now, maybe 5. I mean, we're like doubling viewership, which is easy to do when you're in single digits, but it's becoming a thing. If you go on our YouTube, you will see Wesley's scary writing challenge. Now, by the time this airs, I assume this will either be a failure or a success, and we shall see. But I want to do a check-in with you, Wesley. And how's the writing challenge going? And for those of the people who are listening and maybe didn't see your awesome video that was all by yourself, what is the challenge, and how's it going?
So the writing challenge was to finish a feature-length screenplay in 2 weeks.
Nice.
The idea behind it is to anybody that's been listening for a while knows that I've been having a hell of a time with writing Choosing Chaos. I almost forgot the fucking title.
Also pronouncing it, apparently.
Yeah, that. I've been having a hell of a time with that. Decided to do a palate cleanser. This is it. I'm writing the story about the vampire food health and safety inspector, and decided to write it as a screenplay first and then turn it into a novel later on down the road. I am roughly 25% of the way in, which is not really where you want to be when you're about a week through a 2-week challenge. But to be fair, I actually expected the first week to be slower than the second week. As of today, I am on vacation for the next week. I have no plans, no obligations. I'm just going to sit at home for 8 or 9 hours a day and write. So,
hey, you know what's funny about that? After the end of the year, I'll be on vacation too. Sorry. I had to keep going with the unemployment joke. Sorry.
One word way to put it.
Okay.
So you have until the end of the year to make it as a writer.
Right.
Which segues us straight into our topic.
It does. Well, first of all, I do want to say I think it's really cool that you're trying this challenge. And I think anytime a writer puts a ticking clock on something, we've talked about it before, adds tension. And I think it inspires creativity. So I'm really excited to read what you come up with. I don't really see the big deal because I assume people like Michael Bay and M. Night Shyamalan knock out scripts in 2 weeks all the time. So,
what a twist!
Well, yeah, probably actually. No, screenwriting is an interesting thing, and I'm gonna do. I was thinking about doing a check-in video if I have time this weekend, like just a quick, like 5-10 minute thing, nothing, not a big deal, but it is an interesting thing though how fast you can write when you're going.
yeah.
On Monday, I actually had a kind of a knockout day, and I got 10 pages done. Since then, it hasn't been as good, but
Yeah.
I just blew through 10 pages in like an hour and a half.
Right.
I recently saw this guy. I'd never heard of him before, but he's been writing like scripts every weekend for like the last year or something like that. And the last one he wrote on a plane. He started it, like the entire thing was written on a plane from going from New York to LA. It's like 5 hours, and he wrote a full length script. So it can be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the kind of impetus from this was local script man who him and his buddy, while they had the flu, wrote a script from nothing. Like they didn't even have the idea set, and they did it in a week. So I really should be able to get this done in 2 weeks, and it's not going to be good, but it's going to be first draft.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing. First drafts always suck, right?
Yeah.
What I do think is really cool is it's so it's a first draft though for instance, let's say I'm trying to put it into words. I think a page of a script basically equals ish to like a minute of screen time or something like that. I've heard that kind of said. Yeah. That's the average. So, but think about this: you see like a movie, say an hour and a half long, so 90 pages, 90-page script. That's typical. Or when movies were good, that was typical. Now everything has to be, fucking 3 hours. Even the comedies. But when I think about it that way, think about how many movies are an hour and a half long. They're based off a book, right? There's a lot, tons,
Yeah.
And my guess is those books that they're based off of are not 90 pages long. So it really condenses down that first draft into something a lot more manageable, but still hits all your beats. I'm really excited. I think I am going to possibly try this for the first draft of my next book that I'm doing the tarot cards for. It's just such an intriguing idea, and I'm already experimenting with it anyway. So
I'm hoping to start a trend, man.
Yeah, it's cool. And what I love about it is it eliminates the idea that you have to put so much emphasis on building the scenes from the ground up versus like, exterior shot, midnight at a gas station that looks creepy. That's all you have to say, and then right into the dialogue.
Yeah.
And so then when you write the book, you can be like, at exactly 11:57 on Nantucket Road. You know what I mean?
That's what I was doing anyway. Like my first drafts were like, that's another thing, going back to the whole world building comments where I've gotten so many like compliments on the world building. Those first drafts, man, I'm just like, dingy place or whatever. Like I have no fucking clue. Or literally it would just be pages of dialogue where they're just talking heads at that point. I just had a conversation in my head that I vomited out onto the page. But this way doing it, it's formatted in such a way that you're doing less keystrokes because you don't have the double tap for your quotes on either side of the dialogue. You don't have to write he said, she said, John said. Yeah. It's just Francine asked. Like it's just it's just name, dialogue, name, dialogue, name, dialogue. The name, if you're using script writing software, the name starts auto populating on its own. Yeah. So like Fade in Pro, once it recognizes like the back and forth. So when you're having a conversation with two people, the next one auto populates for you. You can change it, of course, if you want. Right. But it's like tab, 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 and you're rolling through it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, there's some real advantages to that. It wouldn't work for everybody's workflow, of course.
Right.
But what the fuck?
The computer agreed with you. It's that Apple software, man.
I thought I turned it off though. Let's see if I can do the 2 thumbs up things. Is it going to do it? No. Oh, there it goes.
Yeah. Woo!
I have it off. I don't know why it's still doing it though.
What episode is that on? I think I'm
don't
editing
remember.
that episode right now.
Are you?
And so that's going to be, I'm going to leave it in. It's going to be fantastic. I'm going to leave it in this episode too, because it's
So
fantastic.
apparently it was actually on. There was a little green light on it. So it is now off, I think. We'll see.
Nice.
Fucking Apple, man.
Fucking Apple. All right. Anyway, so very cool. That's exciting. Congratulations on starting it, and I have total and complete faith in you. So,
Oh, that's sweet.
I know. I love you, buddy. All right. So to today's topic, we are going to get we're going to get emotional today. We're going to get deep. We're going to get in touch with our inner psyche. One's an innie, one's a dowdy.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about what does success mean to us, or just to the writing community as a whole. We're going to talk about gauging success, how we individually gauge success, how we deal with our lack of success, and especially if you're a new writer and you're in this and you're just starting your journey, you might see a finish line down towards the end that looks a certain way. And if you're not there in a certain amount of time or ever, you might look at yourself as a failure. And so we're hoping today.
And you are.
And
Oh, wait, no, that's not the message we're doing right now. Yeah, we changed our mind on that. No,
Positive.
okay.
We were just gonna belittle our listeners for an hour.
Because we're so much better.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk
I
about
sold
success.
3 books last month.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Look.
Oh, well, wow. All right, so we're gonna get right into it, and I kind of wanted to start this with actually going to you, Wesley, and I just kind of wanted to see how do you gauge success, and also I believe there's something involving Billy Corgan and a Kurt Cobain. Are those?
Yep.
Are those authors? Are those writers? They don't sound familiar to me.
They are. They wrote erotic memoirs.
The audiobook of Billy Corgan's is fantastic. He took off his pants and he... Sorry. Jesus Christ. I am so sorry to those 2 of you who are listening.
All right. No, when this comes up in my head a lot though, when I'm thinking of success or anything like that, because being part of online groups, I see kind of some of the same comments over and over again. And one of those is, I don't care about sales. I don't care about marketing. I'm just doing this for me. But they're posting their book on Amazon. And it strikes me like
bullshit.
Yeah, it's not a very honest thing in my opinion.
Right.
Now, they might not care much about success. Like they
Right.
might have that bar real low. But anybody that is literally like legit just doing it for themselves and no one else, they have no reason to release their stuff.
Right. Why would you press it?
Right.
Yeah.
Why would you
Or
go through
print
the
it.
effort? Because even though it's free these days, if you do it, if you do most of it yourself, it can be free at least. It's a lot of extra work. So it's either money or it's work to get it out there, or both. And why would you do that if it's really just for you? Now, maybe, like I said, maybe that bar is real low. Maybe all you really want out of it is, for your friends and family to read it.
Yeah.
Although I would argue that you're probably not putting it on Amazon. If that's the case, you're just going to send them the files,
Right.
or print off a few copies. But again, maybe that bar is real low, but you want something out of it. You want some kind of recognition. You hope that it will find maybe some small audience. And I think a lot of people secretly hope it gets bigger than that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Maybe they don't want to admit it. Maybe they don't want to get their hopes up. Maybe they don't want to admit to doing the, like, what am I trying to say here? I think some people use it like as a defense mechanism. Oh, I don't care, because they know that what they really need to do to be successful is take all those extra steps, the marketing, the real push, the really putting themselves out there and allowing themselves to fail if it fails. And they're kind of protecting themselves from that. So yeah, I'm just kind of getting on a rant here, but that always strikes me as like just insincere, and it always reminds me of this thing Billy Corgan said, and they were kind of talking about Nirvana Nevermind, which, most people, including Billy Corgan, even though he was a contemporary, they hail that as like the album of that generation. It changed everything.
For sure. Oh yeah.
And Kurt Cobain famously, did not want to be famous, and kind of rejected it and tried to like rail against it and fight the entire thing. And kind of said that he never wanted that or never was trying for it and that kind of thing. And Billy Corgan was kind of like acknowledging his genius and the raw power of that album and everything. But also saying, that's probably not the case. He's like, you don't sit in your bedroom and write the greatest album of your generation on accident.
Right.
You don't go into the studio and record it and with Butch Vig and like release it on a major record label on accident. Like,
right.
So
it's, I think it's the whole, you really see it in music. You see it in a lot of different aspects, of course, too, whether it's film or novels or whatever, or even on your day-to-day working, people don't want to be quote-unquote sellouts, right? So
sure.
We all, any manner of success that we get, we just look at it, for most of us, not all of us, but most of us, especially in the creative process, as a happy accident. And we're so blessed to be here. I don't know how this happened. That was never part of my dream to be here. I'd like to thank the Lord for this Grammy. And, suddenly they're religious. But like, the truth of the matter is this, and we'll get into this as we start to go at what success means for both of us, is that if you put your book on Amazon, even if you are just printing that book to give to your granddaughter or something, it's like a kid's book or something, and you put it on Amazon, there is some part of you, whether you show it to anybody or not, that is hoping that the right person at the right time sees that book, and that you live the rest of your life known for that. And the reason being is because you're a creator. And in my humble opinion, and if you want to fight me on this, that's fine, but I'm right. So
our audience, or me specifically?
Our audience. I know you'll agree with me. As any kind of creative, you want some kind of validation. It could be from a family member. It could be from a spouse. It could be from someone else in your field. It could be from a stranger. Strangers are always the best. I think we can both agree on that. If a stranger says, I read your book and I loved it, that means more than like my own family member being like, I read your book and I loved it. It made me cry. I'm just like, yeah, you have to say that. You're related to me. But when a stranger says that, they don't owe you anything. There's nothing. I remember I had a review, I think beginning of this year, someone who'd gotten petrichor, didn't know him, and they were just like, I went home and I was going to read a few chapters before I went to bed, and I ended up staying up till like 2 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't put it down, and I finished the whole thing. It was so good. And I was just like, validation. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh. And so I think the most generous kind of that validation, if you're a writer, musician, whatever, is that isn't just something that happens a few times a year. That is something that literally happens to you every day. And you go, yes, the thing I've created, I'll be remembered for a long time.
Yeah.
And yada, 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 and so on. Now, the truth of the matter, the bold fact is that most of us, vast majority of us will not see that kind of success in our life at anything we do.
Yep.
And I know that's like a downer way to be, but like as we get into this, I'm going to actually flip that to be a positive. I know it's going to be a magic trick. Woo! But in general, a lot of times I think that's the thing that drives people is this all-encompassing success. So as we go through this, I think you're absolutely right. I don't think anybody sits down to write the next great American novel and just leaves it on their computer to never show anybody. And maybe there are people out there like that, but they're not going to be on the Facebook group for their book. You know what I mean? Maybe there's some dude.
If they literally do that, though, that is the person I would believe that if they said, I'm just doing it for me. Okay. Yeah. Didn't show the book to anybody. Yeah. You did it just for you. That's cool.
Well, it's like me with music now. I don't really do music anymore. I released a song, I think like a year and a half ago. And that was like the first thing I'd released in a really long time. And you know me, I used to release like an album a fucking week. Like I was just go. But I still released that one song. If anything, I did it for me just to see if I could still do it. I was like, can I still write a song?
Yeah.
But I also put it out there because I wanted someone else to come in and say, hey, man, you can still write a song,
right.
You know? So like
the expectations might be real low at that point.
Right. Like you were saying, really low bar, but there's still expectations that are measurable as some kind of metric.
Yeah.
I guess would be how I put it. So, so that's the show. No, I'm just kidding. I have to look at my notes. Do we create validate? Oh wow, I already went into all that. The world is full of. Oh, okay. So
we memorize our shit, people.
so well. Oh yeah, we're talking about this today. Let's go through now and let's we can. Do you want rock paper scissors for this over the internet to see who gets to go first?
That's fun. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, ready?
Wait, this is gonna be tough with the latency.
Yeah, I know.
One,
two, three.
I can't even see yours. You're off camera.
It's scissors. It's scissors. You did scissors too.
Okay.
We both did scissors.
Oh.
Fuck. All right. You want to scissor me, brah?
All right.
One, two, three. Yeah. All right. I got you. All right. I got so paper for me, rock for you.
You won.
Yeah. So that means I'm going to let you go first.
Wait, that's how that works?
Yeah, because then I get to anything you go over that I want to steal, I'm just going to take for myself and sound way smarter.
All right. I'm just going to ask you the exact same question. So I'm just going to I'm just going to steal your questions.
That's fine. So you wrote for a long time, and through various circumstances in your life, you took a very long hiatus.
Yep.
And not a hiatus that you chose, but one that just happened.
Yep.
And now you're getting back into it. My first question to you is, what did success look for you back then, not to get you depressed, And what's the difference between that and what success looks to you now?
Are you talking about, like, real quick, are you talking about my previous writer life or during the interim?
Writer life.
That was, I had my eyes set much higher back then.
Yeah.
So I am not too proud or humble, whatever it would be, to admit that I really wanted to be very successful then. That was right around the self-publishing boom, where there were people that were making huge dollar amounts off of 99-cent books. One of the women that I was in a group with, and not like this online, like almost you don't know the people, like Facebook groups. I'm talking about, like, I was actually, like, we talked all the time. She hit the New York Times bestseller list with one of her books at 99 cents. She published her income and was like, she made something like $40,000 or $45,000 that year, off just that one book.
And that was like what, 35 years ago when you were
about
doing
50, yeah. No, it was like, that still wasn't a whole lot of money.
Right. But that's not bad.
It was
for writing.
It was back in like 2010, 2012, whatever it was right around that area. That was more than I was making at my day job.
Yeah.
So that, like, I would have felt rich at making $40,000 a year. Again, that was just off one of her books. She had other books too.
Yeah.
So my expectations were pretty high for myself, and I thought that I was going to maybe ride that self-publishing wave into success. And for a brief period of time, it looked like maybe that was possible. When I go back into my Amazon account and look way back, like for a few years there, I sold like 7,000, over a couple of years, I sold about 7,000 books, which right now would feel freaking amazing. But it was easier back then, at least for a period of time. So I had my novel, I had some short stories that were, sold a little bit, not crazy. I had the co-written novella that was actually selling fairly well. Then I had the stuff that we talked about on my other pen name that never really sold much. But yeah, it was starting to pick up steam and it felt really good. So my expectations were unrealistically high. Not probably, they were unrealistically high.
Right.
Fast forward to now. So now it's definitely more modest. I would really like to have one of my books traditionally published, even if it's like a small deal with a small advance. I do want to get that, like, bucket list item. Even if I make less off that than my self-published books and it's a bad business decision, I would still like to just check that off.
Right.
I would like to, and I do mean like a big publisher. I already did the smaller press publisher. I want like a big publisher. But right now the main thing would be finishing my series. And continue right after that. Like, I want to start actually pumping out content. But really at this point, I'm as much focused on my stuff as I am. I want to help others.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly what that looks like yet. Like, part of the idea behind this podcast is mainly just us talking and having fun, but part of it is I do want to add some value to newer writers. But I want to go beyond that. I'm not sure exactly what that looks like yet. But I do know that I would not be where I'm at today if it wasn't for several different people investing their time in me and helping me out just out of the kindness of their heart. And I kind of want to pay that forward.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think those are very unrealistic goals and you should give up. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I'm planning.
I'm joking.
Like, that's the idea. Oh fuck.
No. All jokes aside, no, I think those are like legitimately manageable goals. Obviously, getting it published through a bigger publisher, that's probably the hardest on the checklist, right?
Definitely.
Like, that's the one that requires a little bit of luck, a little bit of marketing, and a lot of work.
A lot of luck.
Yeah, a lot of luck. But having said that, I really kind of want to focus in on a couple of your other goals, because I think those are, I'm on kind of the same area as you. I'll say that. Is that finishing your series?
Yeah.
Now, for any writer who starts a story that requires more than one book to tell, that is the be all end all. Like, the worst thing you want to do is start a series and never finish it.
Well,
like, as a writer, you know what I mean? That that just feels awful. You're just like, ah.
And that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like the novel that I published was book one of a 3-book arc that I had in mind. And the steampunk novella, like Eli and I had ideas for a whole, like at least 5 or 6 of them. And none of that materialized after I got hurt. So,
right.
And I want to get that. That's probably my main goal. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's good too. I mean, so I'm in the midst of trying to do that now with the Zed and Zia series, right? So it's like a 6-book arc is what we're trying to do. But I can relate it to it from a musical standpoint with Dr. Death and Mr. Vile, which was a band I was in. Feel free to check us out. I think we're still on all the streaming platforms. If you want to hear this fella sing, hey. But we released 2 EPs that were supposed to be 3. It was called Trichotomy.
And it's even in the name. Yep.
Yeah, it's even in the fucking name. And basically shit just fell apart before we got to the 3rd one. And they're 2 of the, and what's funny is we have an album after that, in fact. But it was just 2 of the best things we'd put out. Like, I was so proud of those 2 EPs. And so yeah, that was just a horrible feeling to just be like, oh, I had this idea, it was going to be really cool, and then we were going to release it, we were going to press it, and we talked about pressing it on vinyl for the final thing. But my old band, I won't say names, but we're all pretty lazy. None of those guys listen to this show anyway. They all fucking hate me.
You were a talented group, though. It was it was hard to see the laziness, to be honest, because fuck, you guys had everything else, man.
I know, dude. Like, I had that feeling, and I was just like, oh my god, if we just had, like, if everybody in the group had a little bit more drive, like, it felt like we were right on the cusp of, like, something big happening. But having said that, I'm going to bring that up again in a little bit.
Okay.
Because I was going to relate to that anyway. But so yeah, I think finishing the trilogy of books, finishing the series, whatever that looks like, I think that is not only very doable, but I think in a lot of ways that's kind of like the start of the race in a weird way. Like, I think once you finish that, I think that would be so inspiring for you as a writer that releasing content after that would be a lot more fun. You know what I mean? Because you'd be like, well, I've done this thing. It's like you've checked it off, and now there's like a little bit less pressure. You can finish a series, which is something a lot of writers can't do,
And it's a difficult, like, the content of this series is difficult too. Like, I did not decide to make it easy on myself.
Right. No, I mean, there's a lot of intricate characters in it. I can't say anything for the 2nd book because I'm selling the 1st book, which I have been whizzing through, by the way. But the characters are very complicated. And even at first glance, when, you meet one of the characters and they seem very predictable in their nature, something like you think you have their personality figured out, there's usually a curveball I found that's thrown in your writing. Where
Who are you thinking of?
I was thinking of C.
Okay.
Is that right? Yeah, C. Just I don't know. Just like you kind of meet you kind of think the friends are kind of dingy at first when you meet them, and I don't know. They just seem more complicated as they go. So I'm not through, so I don't want to totally comment on it. But I feel like there's more to your characters than is led on at first glance, which I think in writing a series would become tricky, in a good way.
Well,
I
want to kill them all off. Remember,
right? So I haven't gotten there yet. I don't know who. That's the funny thing is I don't technically know. I mean, I guess I kind of know a little bit.
C lives.
Yeah, but like I don't really know everybody who lives, right? Because I haven't finished the book yet, so it's kind of fun. Your other, if I'm breaking into threes, getting a traditional publishing deal for a book, finishing your series, and then helping people out. I do want to say that I think this podcast really is. That's why we both do it. I have at least 50% of it for me. The other 50% is I get to, sit around, talk shop with my friend once a week and have fun and make fun of each other and say stupid shit. But the other part is it's a different kind of validation. Validation for me doing this is, we got a few plays, but what I really love to see is when there's a comment and someone's like, I never thought of that, or whatever the case may be. And hopefully as we go along further, we can get a couple newer writers to listen and take away some good stuff from it. Because like I wish I could listen to, and I know they're out there, and to be fair, I didn't really look for them. But when I was first starting my writing journey, it would have been really nice to listen to a couple of jackasses once a week. Talk about shit with a little bit of authority, but not in a pretentious way, which is something that I kind of feel like we do is
it is a very small amount of authority. I just want to put that
very small, very small. We pick a subject and we say, this, and the other. And
our thoughts on it. Might be wrong.
But at the same time, it doesn't feel. I think that's helpful for a lot of people. So I think you're doing the Lord's work over there, buddy.
But yeah, there's a lot of, and that's one thing that I do is like I've been kind of like stacking our content up against like other stuff that I see on YouTube, and we're not there yet. There's some really great content creators out there that are giving some really great advice. That there's also some though that are saying this is the only way to do something.
Right.
And that's something we've been very careful not to say, because there's a lot of different ways to get to the finish line. And we certainly don't know all of them.
Yeah. And I would kind of look at it this way. Usually the ones I've heard that have the best advice, because now that we're doing it, I've ended up listening to it a bit. I find that in general, usually people who are very successful at it or have had some reasonable amount of success usually have a little bit more authority on when they talk about stuff, but there's still not necessarily a pretentious vibe to them.
No.
Usually the people with like a pretentious vibe and stuff like that, they don't really have anything of merit out there. Not saying none, but that's generally been my experience with it, is that if someone acts like they are the authority figure on the subject and there is no wiggle room on said thing, they're probably on the same success level as you are anyway, because I generally find people that are successes both within the creative endeavors and also just in day-to-day life usually are teachable.
Absolutely.
And being teachable means that you might be the authority on certain things, but you're always willing to learn something more. And my guess is, who's the one that does the college course? Is it Brandon Sanderson?
Brandon Sanderson, yeah.
Yeah, so my guess is, and so I've been watching some of his stuff on the YouTubes, and really good stuff too. He's funny, he's lighthearted, he has an authority to him, but not in a commanding way.
No, not at all.
I like how it's very open. My guess is if someone in that audience were to raise their hand and say, "I think you're wrong because of this," and he agreed with them, that on that stage right then while being recorded, he say, "You know what? You're right. I'll change my mind on that." Because he seems like that kind of guy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Or he would just at least say, well, this is what's worked for me, but that might absolutely work for you.
Which he says a lot.
He does. Yeah.
He hammers that home so much. It's almost not really a how-to. It's more like a how he did, because like a lot of the shit he says, he's like, this worked for me, and he makes that very clear that this is his journey, not necessarily yours. So I appreciate that. And there's someone with a pretty reasonable amount of success.
Just a little bit,
just a touch. What, couple hundred books sold, something like that.
I actually have no idea. He has the record for Kickstarter, though, I think.
Nice.
Like when he did his 4 books all at once thing. Like,
yeah,
I don't know how much it was. It was a crazy amount, though. You mentioned one of your kind of tent poles or items to check off is your series. But what are some of those others?
So this has drastically changed, and I'll attribute it back to music. We'd already talked about this a little earlier in the episode. I said I was going to bring it up again, so here it is. When I was making music, my goals for success, how I measured success, were pretty high. I really was like, I want to make a career doing this, one way or another. I don't want to work a day job. I want to play my music for the masses and tour and make albums and
would you say you wanted to like deliver sunshine to the masses?
Sunshine to the masses. For the masses, really. Spoiler alert, that's another project I have. Go check it out on Amazon right now. But so what ended up happening, though, and I won't get too down the rabbit hole, was it stopped becoming fun. That's really what happened. I had a family. Still have a family, by the way. But I started a family. They're not gone. This isn't a tragedy.
Phrasing.
So I'd started a family, and the other guys in the project just weren't as into it as me, I guess you could say, in a nice way. Bless their hearts. And I just started stressing so much about measuring that success that it stopped becoming fun. And at one point when I was coming home and I was taking out that frustration on people I love, not like taking out, like, just being a grumpy.
You're just listening to the audio version. That sound could have sounded like a few different things. What it was him like pretending to smack someone.
Yeah.
Just put that out there. That. He did not do that, or the other thing that it sounded like.
Or the other thing. But no, I was just kind of a grumpy asshole around my family, and at some point I was just like, I had to take a good hard look at myself, and I was just like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? And then I started really thinking about it. I was like, do I want to go on tour? And I was like, no, I really don't. Like, I don't want to leave my family and not see them for X amount of time. Yeah. Do I really want to be making music with these same guys for the rest of my life? And I was like, not really. Nothing against them, again. But it drastically refocused how I viewed success. So now that I'm in a totally different medium and I'm writing books, and I've talked about this on the past show before, my level of success is really a local market. I want us to become, me and my brother, or me, whatever, that our books, to become something in here in Colorado, as the locals say. Um, I want them to know us. I want to amass a little bit of a following here. So when we do release that sixth book in the series, there's people to read it, and as far as beyond that, finish the series, keep creating because I just love to create, and just continue to grow a fan base, even if it doesn't extend beyond the borders of Colorado. There's a little bit of a publishing whisper back there that me and my brother talk about sometimes. We're talking about meeting with some literary agents here soon. We'll see what happens with that. But, again, I have this fear that it will stop being fun. That's my biggest fear. And I the day we started writing books, and this was just kids' books, I told my brother Caleb, who's on the past episode, go back and check it out, that if it stopped becoming fun, that I would probably be done doing it. And not a threat.
I have some follow-up questions on that. Not to interrupt, but
No, please.
That to me is a little bit of a foreign concept because for me, there's a huge portion of the writing process that is not fun. It's awful. It's
right.
Have you ever seen? You haven't seen The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, right?
No, we've talked about it.
Oh, you really should. There's at the end of the first episode though. Mrs. Maisel is talking to Lenny Bruce, who they've both just been in jail for doing comedy. And she asks him, like, do you love it? Do you love comedy? And
yeah,
he goes on this rant. I'm not gonna be able to like say it word for word, but he's like, if there was any other job I could do, and he lists off a bunch of really terrible jobs, and he's like, I would do it. and that's kind of like that actually hit home for me because that's actually kind of how I feel about the writing process.
Yeah,
for large portions. Now there's parts of it that are just amazing and I love, and like you really get the juice out of those those particular scenes, but there's huge parts of it that are not fun to me. So hearing you say that, and I remember when you were going through that phase, like the end of the Dr. Death, Mr. Vile phase, where it was definitely a trial for you, and actually for everybody involved, it seemed like. But I guess my question is, in a long roundabout way, is how long of a period would that have to be? Because, like, let's say you do get a publishing deal, or maybe a literary agent first. What I do know of the publishing industry is there's going to be some grueling period of being on submission and just basically eating shit of rejections. That's not going to be fun.
Right.
So, like, I guess, how are you
segmenting? What does happiness look like to me? No, I know exactly what you mean. So for me, when I'm like defining that, you're right that there's parts of the process that suck, right? Even the most sucky part currently accounts for less than 10% for me.
Okay.
I enjoy doing the second draft and the third draft and the fourth draft, and I enjoy doing the artwork for it and brainstorming. It's like the social media aspect of it is kind of foreign to me. Not my favorite, but I don't hate it. I guess that's the thing. As long as I don't hate it, I'll keep doing it. To me, it's when I start. It's kind of like the telltale sign that you need a new job, right? You start coming home at the end of every single day. You're exhausted. You're pissed off. You can't sleep even though you're exhausted, and you wonder why am I still doing this? Like, what am I getting out of it? I think that's what it would be for me, because I got to that point in music where I was like, what am I getting out of it? We'd already put out a ton of albums. I played some fairly big stages with some fairly bigger bands, headlined some kind of cool places, and felt that level of just excitement and fun on a live setting, and did a Kickstarter that was somewhat successful. And, we did a lot, filmed some music videos and did some radio interviews and did all that stuff. And it started to become like, I couldn't grab anything that made me smile anymore. It just, the whole thing, none of it got me excited anymore. So for me, I can't imagine a world where I don't still have stories to tell. The thing I love about writing, and the reason why I think it's a lot easier to be a happy writer than like a happy musician, I feel like you might agree with me on this. For one, it requires a lot less, right? You can have a laptop and some free time, and that's it. That's all you need. That's all you need. It doesn't rely on your good looks, because you're a writer. Who gives a shit what you look like?
Yep.
Stephen King looks like a troll. He knows it. It's okay. And you don't have to make it by a certain age. Music, if you haven't made it by the time you're 30, and I'm not even fucking joking, like 30, it's like a timeline there. You're basically screwed.
Yeah, there's
you know
very
what I
few
mean?
people
Like,
that make it after 30.
Yeah, you're just like, yeah. So with writing, like, I feel like I could be doing this when I'm 50 years old and then just get a publishing deal or something after I've released like 30 books, and it would look the same as if it happened tomorrow. Rejection and stuff actually won't mess with me much. It just kind of rolls off my back. I think a few years ago it would have really messed with me. I'm a bit different person now. Spoiler alert, that means medicated. But no, it kind of just rolls off my back.
Okay.
And it doesn't really bug me anymore. And now I really do. It's funny because like we opened the episode kind of with you talking about like the people who are like, I just do it for myself. I just do it because I like to do it. And you're right, it is bullshit. But like, as far as people who could fit the most into that camp, I would almost put myself a little bit there. I still want the validation. I still want to sell the books. I still want to sign the autographs and meet the fans. And if you hand me $1 million tomorrow to write you romantic fan fiction, I'll do it. I don't care. I'll be a hoe. Doesn't matter. But at the same time, I really, really enjoy like almost every aspect of the craft. You know what I mean? I just really love it. And also, like, I came into this weird way of thinking. I'm gonna go way down the rabbit hole right now. So if you're listening, buckle up, kids, because this is where my mind went. So I was working on a book called Theory of Thought, which is basically about an old man whose wife passes away, and he goes on this journey to discover all of life's great meanings. So we talk about everything in there from life after death to aging to what's it called, simulation theory, all kinds of stuff. I was watching a ton of YouTube and reading a ton of shit that was just about like science and theory and stuff. I was really down that rabbit hole. And one of the most comforting things in the world came to me through that, which was the theory of the infinite universe, right? So there's like two ideas behind it. Either the universe is infinite or it's finite. That's pretty much general A and B. If it's finite, that means that the universe expands, it has an end, and that's all she wrote, right? But the infinite universe theory means it goes on forever. And if it goes on for literally forever, that means that there is every conceivable version of yourself, we're getting the multiverse sort of thing, out there of yourself. And one thing I found really comforting was that regardless of the choices that I make right here, that maybe there's a possibility out there and this is just like my mindset, that there's another version of me a million years from now or whatever that's out there who's like a really successful writer, and it's like, you know, on a New York Times bestsellers group or something like that. And for some reason that made me feel better. Like, you know what I mean? Versus like, you get one shot and that's it. Now, whether or not that's true or not, I have no fucking clue. I don't have a doctorate. What are you talking about, man?
Well, no doctorate's going to know either, but
that's fair, actually.
But are you trying to tell me that yeah, you get a PhD in like all the secrets of the universe are given to you.
Right.
But are you telling me that out there somewhere there might be a version of me that's handsome and charming and good with people?
That version's right here, baby.
Oh my God.
Yes,
this podcast
exactly.
is over.
Exactly. No, and I don't know why. How I attribute it in the book is like, there's a universe out there where, you know, you got to the hospital 10 minutes earlier. You know, a thing like that. You know, there's these, they caught the cancer in time. You know, there's like, it's, you know, it has a bit more of a heartbreaking emphasis in the book, but something about that really struck with me as far as measuring success for being creative, of just like, I can do what I'm going to do and I'm only responsible for what I do. And I can't be responsible for how the world perceives it, just how I put it out there.
Right.
And that has been huge for me, because then I've been able to just say, hey, I'm going to try to do it the best I can, but as long as I don't hate it, I'll keep doing it. And that's how I measure my success, is just like, as long as I'm still doing it, and like we're doing conventions and people are still buying it online, and, you know, we have like one super fan of my books who like reviews every single one of them that comes out. Never met her, but always reviews them.
That's awesome.
Like, it must have notifications, because when it comes out, like a week later, boom, there's a review.
Well, you can follow authors on Amazon.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So
I assume she does.
Or it's
her
your
name
mom.
is right. I think her name is Stephanie Brown. I want to say. I don't know if that's her real name. You can see it on the review, obviously, but that's her Amazon name. And just getting that review every time I release a book is just freaking awesome. So if she stops reviewing, then I'll quit. I'm just like, fuck. I had one fan. What happened? But yeah, I mean, I think also when it comes to being miserable inside of writing, right? Like you said, there's a lot of things that suck. There are moments that suck. Trust me, I get it. If I'm going through and I'm like, I change one word or something, or I change the name of something, and I have to go through a Word file, and I'm like, okay, how many times do I say this character's name? And I put it in, and it's like, you say this name 500 times. I'm like, fuck. Like, and I know you can hit replace all, but like, I get really OCD on that, and I'm just like, okay, I'll just manually check it and just go down replace, because, you know, whatever. So that does suck. But for every one of us who struggles to find moments of happiness in that moment, but in general enjoys the craft, there are definitely authors out there, because I see them at conventions all the time, who are miserable, sad sacks, who just only want validation, period. And if not, they just sit there looking really angry that they have to be sitting there on a Saturday waiting for someone to buy their book. I would say, if you're one of those people, please fucking quit and leave room for the rest of us who actually enjoy what we do. Like, in a weird way, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like we played with them, those bands you'd play with that just like bitch the whole time. We were probably one of those.
That was almost all of them, to be honest.
That's
Fuck.
true.
Like, the music scene is toxic.
Oh, so bad. But like, you're kind of just like, okay, so there's 7 bands playing tonight. I have to. It's on a Tuesday, and I have to play at like 1:00 in the morning, because you're over there bitching because they can't get your monitor mix right and this, that, and whatever, you know, the case may be. I'm like, why don't we just have 3 bands that actually want to be there? You know what I mean? And I feel the same way for authors too. You know, it's like leave the rest of us, and because I know, like for you, it's like breathing. Like creating is something you have to do. Like you just go crazy if you can't do something, because we've talked about it before on the show. And I know there's parts of the process that just drive you insane. But I also know, because you get on here every single week and talk to me, that you love the craft.
Oh, I do.
Yeah. It's a great movie. No, sorry. Of writing. It is a good movie, though. And that alone is actually miles more than a lot of the writers that I see out there at conventions and stuff. And I'm just like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you gumming up the works for the rest of us?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my, I don't even know what that was. That was just a really long rant about that. But I went everywhere, man. It was
good.
Like
and you touched on something
universe
I wanted to talk about as well.
Yeah.
Because you touched on the stuff that's within your control.
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself, this is something I struggle with, but I have to remind myself regularly that the numbers are not in our control.
Yeah.
There's quite a few things that are in our control that we can focus on, that we can work on and try to be the best we can be, or put a little more effort into, or whatever.
Yeah.
But you have no control over how many sales you get.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
There are things that you can do to influence it, or give yourself your best shot at getting those sales. But at the end of the day, somebody's going to buy it or they don't.
Yeah. Well, you know, I kind of feel that the same way that you do about like that is like, it's like politics or something like that, right? Like you just kind of go, okay, like I hate all the evil in the world, but the only thing I can do is be the best version of myself and love the people around me. So, you know, like I know there's other things you can do, but in general, I'm saying like, I get like my general idea is this, like there's a lot of bad things in the world, but you're kind of on an island. And I feel that way about creativity too. It's like, I can't change someone's mind. I can't myself change a policy, but what I can do is love the crap out of my kid and do everything I can to protect him.
Yeah.
The same thing when it comes to writing, right? Like I can't make someone like my book or buy my book or whatever the case may be, but I can make sure that I write a book that I think that they'll enjoy.
Yeah.
You know, that's worthy of being bought or liked.
And that's a win.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's a roundabout way. I don't know. Do you have anything else to add to this today, Wesley?
Not really. I don't think we did a terrific job of drilling this down and like condensing the information. So
editing.
If you're listening to this and you got nothing out of this other than laughing at our dumb asses, you know, don't know what to say. That's the way it rolls sometimes, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we do what's in your control. Try to do the best you can. Try to keep getting better. You know, and if you can, help other people along the way. And I don't think that you can kind of go wrong with that formula.
Yeah. My dad always tells me, he's like, enjoy the journey. And as I get older, I find more truth in that, honestly. Yeah. Which is, there's parts of it that suck, right? But when I guess this is what I would tell everybody. If you want to take the last hour or whatever and condense it down to something meaningful, from everything you had to say, from everything I had to say, it would be this. You should measure success by how you feel along the way to whatever destination you're going to arrive, right? Like if you end up being a writer who sells 1 million books and that's what you're aiming for, great, fantastic. But if you're aiming for that and you're doing everything right, you should enjoy that process, whether or not you actually end up getting there or not. I think you and me, Wesley, I think our bars for success are fairly low compared to some people out there. And I'm not going to tell anybody out there to set your bar lower. But at the end of the day, I would say that, it's if it's a 1 in a million shot and your happiness is tied to that 1 in a million, you're kind of setting yourself up for a bad time. And you're going to be so stressed out along that journey that you're going to miss so many awesome moments in that. The first time someone reviews your book, the first time someone asks for a picture with you or something, these moments that you're going to miss because you're so stressed about getting to that finish line that you may or may not get to. So thanks for listening to us today. This was basically us just talking about it's like a therapy episode. Is what I feel like we should do these once in a while, like a little bit more subjective in the sense of like, getting into our inner psyche and stuff. People are going to be like, fiction focused, those guys have done fucking lost it. They ran out of shit to talk about, and they're like in 15 episodes. No, we have actually a lot of stuff to talk about in the future, and some really fun ideas that we've been kicking around.
Yeah. Actually, we can. Yeah. I think we should talk about, just real quick, throw it out into the universe.
Yeah.
So the other main, like, I don't know what you want to call it. Like, I almost started thinking of it like our sister podcast, but I don't think we can claim it like that. It's just another podcast with people, that we're tangentially, like, sort of know, or at least I feel like I know them at this point. But they do writing. It's the Plotless podcast by the Plot Lasses.
Plot Lasses.
Yep. It's Steph and Vicky, awesome people. We floated the idea of doing like a crossover episode. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I don't know if it'll be on our podcast or their podcast or maybe both. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll never happen, but I'm really excited for the idea because they're awesome people, really smart. And I think it'd be a fun conversation.
Yeah, no, and you've mentioned them before on the show a couple times, and I've checked out some of their stuff. They're witty. They're funnier than us.
They are.
So we could bring a little bit of that humor in. And another thing, as we're growing our fan base by a few people here and there, I will say this, that one of the things that we want to start doing occasionally on episodes is where me and Wesley each watch a movie and then discuss the plot structure and characters and character development of said movie. I'm sure Wesley's going to pick like Citizen Kane or something amazing, and I'm going to be like,
no,
let's do Sharknado.
Oh my god, this was your plot all along to get me to watch fucking Sharknado, wasn't it?
That's it, the whole podcast. But if you do have any movies that you like, that you watch and so on, that you want us to watch, and get our writerly opinions on the plot, the pacing, all the stuff that how we would look at it for story structure and so on, comment below and let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Like, subscribe, ring that bell. Wesley, Me and the Machine, fantastic book. You can get the audio version, digital version, hardback, softback, right? Everything. Just Barnes and Noble, Audible, Amazon. Just search Me and the Machine. It's going to pop up.
Yours is Harms Publications, where you actually have a real website.
We do. I was just listening to the episode where you're like, well, if my website's not up by the time this comes out, I'm really fucking up or something like that.
That was like a month and a half. Or that was probably longer than that. That was probably like 2 months ago.
It's still not up.
It's still not up now.
You know what's funny is you should try to get up by the time this episode comes out.
Fuck you. I need somebody at this point. I need a web developer, man. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
It's
a
so
whole.
it's so easy to do. Like all the tools are there. It's like it'd probably just take me a couple of hours, but I just don't have any patience for that.
Yeah.
I can sit in an Excel spreadsheet and like fuck with that for 4 hours straight, and you put me on a website developing, I just fuck, man.
Yeah. No, I feel that. That's like anything anything website design or like social media based.
Yeah.
And I totally tune out. And I know I can do it. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It's one of those. That's one of the things I don't like. Like I said. But anything else? Coming on here and talking about ourselves for an hour, no problem. Join us next week where we will talk about something totally different that doesn't uncover our darkest fears and our souls for you all to judge us.
I've got an idea for the best episode we've ever had.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you'll have to tune
All right.
in.
All right. Oh, is it the one? Oh, it's the one. Oh my God. Yeah. No. Definitely. Tune in next week. That's gonna be insanity. All right. Thanks for listening.
Oh my God, we need to turn this off. We're done.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.